Hey guys, welcome to episode 8 of season 3 here at House of M. We are having fun. We are COVID free. We have a great episode coming for you guys. We have a top 5 of wrestling moments from our childhood and beyond. And we have a fantasy draft where we are going to be talking cinematic and comic related cinematic scenes or movies. It's going to be a great fantasy draft. And we have our rapid fire debate. So enjoy the segments, guys. Alright guys, welcome back to our House of M episode where we're going to get started right away and we are going to try to keep this what were you saying about COVID, Jared?
This is going to be a happy episode. There's dark, depression, despair everywhere. I'm going to say this one time and it'll be like the name Lord Voldemort. COVID-19 and coronavirus and anything related to that RNA spewing sack of protein will not be mentioned anymore on this podcast now.
Guys, I do got to mention one thing because I just love Saturday nights because since I've been stuck in this room when the virus started, I'm running out of food supplies. When you guys show up, it really makes my day, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, Cole's been trapped in our
I'm so
where
excited.
we record in our studio. Cole's been trapped in
I've
here.
been trapped in here for roughly about 35 days and waiting for the time to get out.
He's living off cardboard backings that we put for our comics.
Yes.
So-
I actually ate a comic yesterday. Anyways,
So
this is the night of my life.
So yes, he who must not be named. That
3,
is COVID-19.
2, 1,
Go.
on.
And that's going to start with Cole. He's going to be talking about
Guys, guess
Final
what?
Fantasy
Guess what?
VII came out this week, and we're jealous that he is the only one that has purchased it and has played it. But go ahead, Cole.
All right, guys,
spew.
look. So, everybody, like you said, we need a little bit of joy in our life. And guess what Square Enix does? They didn't plan this that way, but when everybody's stuck in their house and there hasn't been really any awesome new released video games, they drop Final Fantasy VII Remake smack dab in the middle while everybody's sitting in their house looking for games to play on there. So what do? I'm sitting there like, you know what? I have a lot of free time now. And a lot of times I don't get to play video games because I don't have it. So I went and hunted down a copy. There wasn't very many left. I mean, it took me a while. I ended up ordering one online and went and drove down and picked it up at a Target. Now,
Yes,
I know
he still likes to have the physical
I know some
disc
of you
in
guys
his
are like, why didn't you just get on
hands?"
there and put the code in and download it? Yeah, it's okay. I don't like paying.
Aw.
I don't like paying $60 for just information for them to swap to my machine. Like, I want a physical disc to put in my machine, listen to it spin and load because that's just how I am. So, anyways, I want to just go in and say, if you have played this game, if you've not played this game, I know Jared and myself, and I think Caleb when we were younger with the original Final Fantasy VII. Jared is probably out of the three of us one of the biggest diehard Final Fantasy VII, gurus, fans, knows everything about the game. This game here had to get it right. If they don't get it right and it releases, guess what? Final Fantasy VII, the original, has a very serious cult following of
Absolutely,
people
it
that
does.
love the game. It was one of the best created, best made games of its time, and I think even now it stands the test
Oh yeah, definitely.
test
does.
of time. So I fire my machine up yesterday. I get home from my essential job, throw it in the machine. It takes about 45 minutes to download. So we played some Crash Bandicoot on the Switch with my wife, and
There
we
you
just
go.
had a good time eating dinner. And then finally, after we played a little bit, I fired it up. And I'm not going to ruin everything. We do have I posted some videos of just some gameplay just to show kind of what the visual graphics look like. But this game just had me sitting in my couch looking at the graphics. Like, that's the first thing that struck me about this game was, dear God, I feel like I'm living inside this movie.
Yeah, it's like a movie.
It is insane. And the visual graphics now, they drop you in the middle of a mission. So you are literally...
Just like the OG.
Game fires up, you're in a mission. So you're like...
And what was the name created, Cole?
Name for what?
Did you create your character yet, or are you just?
You don't do it
Cloud?
on this one. You're Cloud.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit... I was going to get to that,
Oh.
saying like... there's some differences. They do have a classic mode. I don't know if I played that or not. I just fired it up. I didn't do easy because I did read some reviews saying the easy was too easy, so I did the regular, just the regular setting.
Because that's how good we are here at House of M.
So, anyways, if you get a chance, you want to look at our Twitter, look at our YouTube. I've posted some of the scenes that I thought were really awesome, visually graphic. So I'm gonna tell you, you are gonna get into this game. If you are a Final Fantasy VII fan, it gives you everything you want. It gives you the characters you love, yet now it looks like you are standing in front of them and meeting them in person. And when you go to battle, so the battles are set up just a little bit differently, but when you go to battle, your heart is beating. They got this epic soundtrack, guys, and I think it...
Soundtrack was everything in Final Fantasy.
This battle sequence, the soundtrack is just you feel like you're in there battling and you're like yelling at the TV like, die! I'm gonna get you! I'm gonna beat the crap out of you! And I got
turn-based, of course, though.
Well, that's the thing.
A little mix, remember?
That's the thing.
If you listen to the review.
So I get and I don't know if people are going to agree with me, but I get a God of War / turn-based feel out of this because Cloud has several different movements with the buttons, and you could do combos, and his sword spins in like multiple different ways, almost like the swords on God of War. Huh. And he has different moves, abilities with his swords. But then midway through the battle, when you want to do, you want to use your potions, you want to use your high potion, you want to use your Phoenix Down potion, you want to do a spell. It doesn't stop the game, but it's awesome because it throws it in slow motion.
Ooh, nice.
So the things are still running at you, but it's in slow motion, and you got to pick the right target. So you go to down. Anyways, if you're a fan of the original turn-based, it gives you that. If you're a fan of the modern games where you get to actually have some physical, button smashing we talked about on the last podcast, because you can be a button smasher with this one. The only problem is if you don't know how to use the spells, you don't know how to use the abilities, and you don't know how to use all the other stuff, you're going to run out of life pretty quick because you got to constantly re-heal yourself, stuff like that. So it's not I can't just walk in and start button mashing and start killing characters. Well, but I will say it drops you right in the middle of this action. Jared, I know you're dying to play it.
Oh, absolutely.
I felt like we had to be on top because this is one of the most sought after games in our recent times, because we haven't had a game where it's selling out massively at stores. People have been anticipating this game, and they've pushed the release date back and back and back, kind of like the New Mutants movie that I don't think we're ever going to get that. But Final Fantasy VII, they kept pushing back and back, and I can't remember the count of years. I don't know if you can do a quick Wikipedia, but the years they took to make this game because they wanted to get it right. And I feel so far I've advanced quite a bit. I just did the first summon of Ifrit, so if you're familiar with the original Final Fantasy VII, I finally got my summons materia, and the first one was Ifrit, and I got to use it in a battle, and I posted just a quick visual graphic of that snapshot off my PS4 on Twitter, so you could see how amazing the summon looks. So, guys, I'm loving it so far, but I will say I'm gonna have to go, because I'm 100% honest with our listeners. It's probably one of the best games I've played in a while, but I'm not a big fan of like coming out of like your blood pumping action, and then you got to slow way back down, and then you got to build up to the next scene. I'm like, I just want to get back out there. I want to fight. I want to fight.
That's the thing about Final Fantasy VII, that the storytelling is always amazing. And like you mentioned with, I believe it was Bleach, Final Fantasy VII will do that to you. It will get your heart pounding, and then it will slow things down, have slow builds. You get to know some characters, get to know some plots, some subplots, and some subplots to the subplots. So that, and then next thing you know, you're back in the action again, and you're going to get that intense.
Well, I think for me it was I came from blowing up a Mako reactor, escaping within 20 minutes to get out with my life, battling a horde of soldiers through the streets to jump on top of a speeding train. And then my first side mission was I had to find 3 missing cats.
So
yeah, and you're in the slums.
Yeah,
it sounds like you're in the slums of Midgar.
Section 7 slums.
You're unsure about this new Avalanche team. You're probably having flashbacks to your days of soldier. They're like, who's this outsider with the green eyes, with the Mako energy? And you're in the slums of Midgar, and you're probably going to be cross-dressing soon. And I wonder how they're going to play that scene in the slums of Midgar when you go see the Don, and he selects you. And this is no spoiler. the cross-dressing Cloud over all the other women for his night of.
Well,
And
I'll tell you, they have some nice
entertainment.
earrings.
Are you in the Are you in that on the
I'm
mission?
on Section 7 slums.
Nice.
So, have they announced when the second disc is going to come out? I know we were talking about.
I don't know, but there was a lot of people that got.
Because this is going to be like a total of $240, right? It's a 4-disc.
Yeah.
It's good. So
I bought the first release, and when I bought the first release, because there was only 2 discs left in a store within a 35-mile radius of our location.
It's worth the drive.
It was down at Beachmont, about 10 minutes away. Lucky. Anyways, it came with the store exclusive, so that was why I was able to do the first summon. Because if you didn't get the exclusive, you had to get past that area without the summon. So I got the summon, I got the Ifrit.
Did that run you a little bit extra?
No, it was just a $59.99.
Nice.
Average. I didn't go with the deluxe edition. They were selling for $79.99.
So I gotta be honest, I haven't played PlayStation since Spider-Man came out. But if you're willing, I am wanting to play Final Fantasy VII. I will say that. But we're glad Cole got to that. If you're done talking about Final Fantasy, I want to talk about.
Can I have one more thought about Final Fantasy before we leave Final Fantasy?
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that Final Fantasy VII, and I was going to reverse this and say that The Office, The Office is the Final Fantasy VII of TV shows, because what Final Fantasy VII had it was replayability.
So you're saying the greatest.
What I do is I've annually replayed Final Fantasy VII every year for like the past 15 years. It's a journey. It's an experience. You get to know these characters. If you're new to it, you're gonna love it. If you've played this before, you're going to love it. And Final Fantasy VII has that replayability. And even just this whole first disc is in Midgar. There's a lot that goes down in Midgar. You're going to get to introduced to a lot of characters, and it sounds like they did this right. I am super, super jelly of Cole right now. I just got done doing Omni Slash on the Midgar Zalem because I actually got Omni Slash from the Battle Arena and the Gold Saucer. And I'm really anxious to see what the Gold Saucer is, but that'll probably be game 3 of this series.
The last comment, we'll move on to the next topic because we got to get the show moving.
I will have one more question when you're done.
Okay, so with this game, I feel like, this is no joke, I'm sitting on the couch, and my wife's sitting there, she's doing whatever, and literally you get the action scenes, and you got to be all into this, and then you can literally... just kind of chill back on your couch, move your remote around. But it makes it way easier than the original PlayStation because I can just sit there and be like, and then it's a movie scene. I sit back for 10 minutes while there's a movie scene, and I literally feel like I am playing a movie, not that I'm playing a video game. So.
That's awesome.
So my last question before I move on to what I wanted to talk about in the video game world is, since we are essential employees here at House of M, will there be any PTO or paid time off taken to play this game, Cole?
Yes, Friday I took a half day.
There you go.
I took a half day because I wanted
anything
to get
in the foreseeable future.
Well, I'm gonna have to probably self-quarantine for 2 weeks.
There you go.
All right, I found a reason to be at home.
Yes. So I just want to talk about real quick. Call of Duty had an update this week, and I know you guys don't get to play that as much as I do. But Battle Royale and Warzone is just killing it. Everyone's loving it, streaming and all that. My complaint though is you have Battle Royale solos, and you have Battle Royale trios, and you have Battle Royale quads, but you can't do Battle Royale duo. I don't understand why you can't just sit down with one of your friends, just one friend, and just do 2 people versus 150 people. But I don't know if you guys know what Warzone is, but it's like Fortnite. It's Call of Duty. Yeah. It's Fortnite. It's amazing. I'm loving it. We put a few of those clips up there. Like we said, House of M, we're figuring out how to start streaming this hopefully here soon in the foreseeable future, as we are having more time at home. So we would love to start streaming this soon, live, getting us all on there playing video games, because that's what we love to do.
And some retro video games.
And some retro video games. Yes, Jared was mentioning we got to figure out a way how to stream.
Yeah, we got to do some retro video games.
You can get it on the Switch, and you can stream off the Switch.
And if you've checked if you checked recently, Kev did post an amazing grenade spray and pray quad kill.
So a
grenade chuck kill, and got a quad kill. Amazing.
It was
hashtag spray.
It was
grenade
a
spray and
ricochet grenade toss. That was epic on a slide. On domination, it was beautiful. Got a quad kill, not to boast. I loved it. Thought it was great. It was our first gaming post, so
I posted a clip of summoning an Oni demon from hell.
Yes, so that's where we're at in the gaming industry.
So we got a couple gaming clips on our Twitter you can go check out. Yes. Caleb's awesome grenade tosses and an Oni demon from hell named Ifrit.
And then also, before we get into our segments, our friends over at BB&C, as we always like to emphasize. They did our challenge, and Cole got to listen to a little bit more of them than I did. But we sent them a couple comic covers, one being, I think it was Wolverine 8, where you have the Hulk and you have Wolverine in their tuxedos. And then, Cole, I forget the other one that we sent them.
A little out there.
Yes, it was a little out there.
Yeah, it was a little out there. So we sent them Wolverine 8. Caleb, I don't know if you know off the top of your head what that story is, just to give them the actual actual story for that one, and I'll get the cover for the other one.
Yes, so that was actually early on in that Wolverine series. So you had the Frank Miller 1 through 4, and then you had this series run of Wolverine. And this one, I'm not too familiar with it, and I do apologize for that. But you obviously have a crossover of Hulk and Wolverine happening in the comics, and a team up on a mission. And anytime you get Hulk and Wolverine, you're going to get iconic moments. So, like I said, Cole got to listen to them a little bit more, and I know Jared caught a few of what they had to say. I was very busy this weekend as we do our live sales, which we are doing tonight as we are recording and shipping comics out to you awesome followers. But, yeah, Wolverine 8, just one of our favorite covers because you got Giant Hulk and you got little 5'8" Canadian Wolverine in white tuxedos. Cole, do you have that other comic?
I would say the thing I like about them when they did it is
they were creative.
Their creativity. I love the guys over at the BBC. They're bros.
BB&C, Cole.
BB&C, yes. And I feel like they, and I didn't mean to if it offended them at all, but I feel like maybe me saying about the BBC, I don't know. They were explaining a little bit more about what the B and the C means in this next episode, but I have nothing but love for you guys. So Caleb, he gave you the background on the Wolverine.
One of your legs longer than the other because it feels like I'm on a boat. This is how.
There it is.
I'm on a boat.
Don't you ever forget.
So we sent them Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 98. And on the front of the cover, if you don't have it, a lot of you might know it. It is one of those weird golden age, or it might
Silver.
Be Silver Age.
Yes.
It's a Silver Age cover. It's got the old cartoon classic comic book drawing. But on the cover, it has Jimmy Olsen dressed like Tarzan. It says the Bride of Jungle Jimmy. And he's standing there putting a ring on this raging King Kong looking bride. Lois Lane is standing there saying, Jimmy's saying, Superman, this joke has gone far enough. I don't want to marry a female King Kong. Well, then in the bottom right-hand corner, yes, I'm going to say Superman is dressed in witch doctor headgear, stirring a big witch's brew kettle of soup. And he says, sorry, Jimmy, but as local witch doctor, I now pronounce you man and wife. And Lois looks like she's looking at a train wreck getting ready to happen. So that's the setting. That's what them guys saw. They obviously had a lot of fun and creativity with that cover. That's one of the reasons I picked that one. That was my pick for them. So the actual storyline for the guys that did this, and just to give you background, is it's part of the 4 clocks of doom. So to get revenge on Superman for accidentally destroying a rare clock of his years ago, a villain named Tempest uses a sorcerer's clock to reenact famous disasters in Metropolis. Of the series, Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 98. It was published on October 13th, 1966.
October is a great month.
And yeah, it's part of the whole series where it's kind of the 4 clocks of doom, and it's an actual, they're actually doing like time travel. They travel to different parts of the time. It's just part of that comic book world where they can take you to another world. Like, I don't know if you guys do movies, if you got to see the what was it? Was that the Justice League where they had the
Flashpoint
Flashpoint paradox?
Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth
yeah,
52?
where like they have multiple different
Yes.
paradoxes and,
Yep.
and multiple different Earths.
Flash.
And you can go to different Earths and different eras, and on each Earth there is a different story for you. So you could be a witch doctor on some Earth. You could be Tarzan on another one. Humans could marry apes in another planet. I can't remember the exact number because I'm not gonna lie to our listeners. I'm Marvel, pretty much.
That's fair.
I bleed Marvel, but I know a lot about DC, especially Batman, Superman, the main characters. just because I love comics and I love those characters. But I don't know how many Earths. I know that I have a DC fan would know the exact amount of Earths that they have. But anyways, that's kind of the background of that. Is there's so many different timelines and Earths, and they could travel in between them and stuff like that.
So that was just a fun little crossover that we got to do with B, B, and C, as they were fun. Once we figure out the technology, we'd love to maybe get one of them on our episode. But hopefully you guys are able to check them out. To our 13 listeners out there, yes, we are up to 13 listeners. If you haven't yet, go check out BB and C. There's some fun guys.
You mean we got more than 6?
Yeah, dude. 13, I think, the last time.
Oh, hey, guys.
Yeah.
Hey,
Nice to meet you guys. You guys are awesome. But that's going to lead to our segments. We got to get these started and rolling so we can get to our live sales. But I believe, I'm just going to throw this out there. We kind of talked about it. We're going to start off with our fantasy draft. So this is going to be comics and cinematic related. Jared, go ahead.
The happiest fan moments in cinematic history.
Based on comics, right?
Based on pop culture, comics,
Fair enough.
sci-fi, superheroes.
Enjoy, guys.
All right, well, I guess I get to go number 1 in this pick. And the whole idea of this segment here, it's the happiest fan moments in history and cinematic for us. We wanted to do a fun, lighthearted segment. We wanted to be happy, get you just excited about cinema. They will be coming back again, but we can relive these moments together. And for my first pick, I don't think this is going to be a surprise because I just don't think that this can be done again the way it was. And this is a culmination of many, many years. And I'm just going to play you a short little clip.
You ready for it?
To kind of explain my pick. Listen closely. Thanos snaps. There are no Infinity Stones in the gauntlet. Where are they? Where'd they go? What happened? That's right. The legend. Oh! If you guys couldn't tell from that recording off of a clip shared by Instagram of one of the people we follow, that is when Iron Man saves the apocalypse from happening again and thwarts Thanos with the snap and the line, "I am Iron Man." We've talked about it before. I'm gonna take it number 1. I want to get it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna get to pick for a while.
Yeah,
So I want to pick this as number 1. It is when Iron Man snaps. He saves the day, and I get to pick a moment, and it is that scene and his inevitable best on-screen loss of a character that we love, and it grips your heartstrings.
Keeps talking.
It'll never be repeated. Right. It'll never be repeated.
Before Cole gets this segment, I want to chime in real quick.
Okay.
We don't rag on each other enough, I think, on this episode, and on this podcast, and we've talked about it some. Jared always picks on my picks because they're vanilla. They're the go-to. Obviously, this is the easiest pick. This should have been all void. This should have been the GOAT and not included in these picks because that is probably the greatest scene in cinematic universe. Cole, go ahead before Jared talks.
Okay. I got to get my pick out before somebody spills my pick on accident.
Well, you're second, so you're
okay.
up.
If you have a rebuttal, you can just have a rebuttal.
My only rebuttal to Caleb is, Caleb is actually the one in charge of posting our picks on Instagram, correct, Cole? And every week, Caleb claims he's going to do that. He hasn't. I said, you know what? This week, I am taking charge of posting our picks on Instagram, and I want to build the best team of cinematic picks for happiest fan moments. And this is my number 1. It is the snap of Iron Man.
Yeah, fair.
And I'm not going to pick a similar one. I'm not going to pick Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat on this. I'm picking Iron Man snap, and you're never going to recreate it. It will probably never be done again. We got to see history. Nothing else should be said about that moment. Cole's up. Nothing else is said. Nothing else to say.
This draft is about cinematic moments. I would venture to say cinematic scenes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Jared took that scene. Obviously, that scene emotionally tore just about everybody that watched it that was a fan of the Marvel series.
Mm-hmm.
Probably every one of these is going to be in a Marvel movie because we watched them for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much the only movies I go out and see. I'm sure if we went all the way back in history, we'd find more, but I'm going to one-up Jared.
Ooh.
Because he went with that scene first without thinking. The very scene, roughly, I don't know how many minutes before that was actually more epic than that scene there. It was an accumulative of over, I can't remember if it's 12 years to 15. No, I think it was like 12 years of Marvel coming to one point where Steve Rogers, Captain America, is standing there facing a world that looks like it's about to be plundered into oblivion. And next thing you know, all of a sudden, Doctor Strange's portals start opening up all over the place, and you hear Falcon say, "On your right, Cap."
That's a
He
tie.
goes right in.
That's 1A, 1B.
And all of a sudden, you
That's
get
fair.
the line that everybody has looked for since the very first day that the Avengers assembled on the streets of New York City.
Yep.
Avengers! Assemble! That charge, that scene had me out of my seat, cheering. Now, Jared talked about the touchdown. I'm talking about when he breaks free through the
line.
and he's got a
Into the open
100-yard
field.
run to
Fair,
the
fair.
open field.
That's 1A, 1B to me. And Cole's
Yeah,
absolutely
1A
right.
and 1B.
No one arguing
Good
arguing
picks. Luckily, picking third. I get 2 picks in a row. So
We had to take them because you get those 2 picks.
Pre-recording everything, where everything's online, able access to everything, there was something that happened in the cinematic universe where gasps probably happened more than Tony Stark saying, "I am Iron Man." And that is when our beloved Luke Skywalker found out that no one other than Darth Vader was his father. I know, probably another vanilla pick, but guys, think about it. When did these films come out?
I've thought about that a lot.
Yes. That is probably, when that happened, I do agree, Jared, I am Iron Man, those reactions were perfect. I wish that we had recordings of reactions that happened when Darth Vader reveals himself to be Luke Skywalker's father for the first time.
And then Luke is like standing there, he's been beat up, and he realizes he made out with his sister.
That happened too, and that could be
At
on
the
the
same
list later. Maybe that's what he was so upset about the whole time. He's like, wait, if you're my...
That can't be possible!
There's a lot of 57-year-old men that agree with you, Caleb.
Yeah.
You're
And
not my father!
so I think that is a great cinematic, and let's be honest, us here at House of M love Star Wars. We are all things Star Wars too. As you have heard in a lot of our episodes this season, we've talked about Star Wars and how we mix them with, like Cole stated, we do lean more Marvel. We've mixed Marvel and Star Wars a lot because we love Star Wars. So I'm going to take that with my first pick. I think we all chose safe picks with our first pick.
Well, there's so many to choose from if you're
Yes.
a comic book fan and you're a fan of pop culture.
Yes.
I do got a couple picks that'll go outside of that, but I got to say most of them are going to stick within 50,000, comic movies I've seen within the last 10 years.
And so we are, if this was an NFL draft and we are Buckeyes fans, I'm picking from Avengers Endgame as well here. So it's like being a Buckeyes fan where we all get taken in the first round. So Cole mentioned it, and I thought he was going to take this, but I do like the Avengers Assemble Scream, but he probably knows where I'm going with this.
With the very first Avengers.
Now I'm going with Steve Rogers when he gets the Mjolnir hammer. Yes.
Yeah, I knew it was going to take. You had to take it there.
Well, because you do have to take it. But being in a crowd, because I don't know if we saw it. We either saw it opening night or the next night all together.
It was the next
That was the
night.
first night we all saw it together. We did see it the night
Or
before.
did we go opening night? I can't remember.
Yeah,
But I know we saw it like 5 times.
The reaction when Steve Rogers grabs Mjolnir. I think I'm saying that pretty good.
Thor's like, I knew it was you!
Fat Thor. Well, he's not fat anymore. But
did you get Mjolnir or Bjorn? I think I got the hammer. You got Bjorn.
no, he didn't get a hammer. He got
That's
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir.
Yeah,
the
because
other
Thor
one's-
gets the hammer.
The other one's called Stormbreaker.
Yes.
Stormbreaker.
Yeah,
is
he
the
gets
other one.
Mjolnir and he catches in. I just remember the crowd's going, "Oh yeah, woo!" and the same type of applause. So taking that with the fourth pick,
Actually, from
I'm in love
I think
with
from
it.
the scene I picked all the way to the scene Jared picked, you could
There's-
almost
yeah.
pick like 5 in there.
I know.
yeah, like when all the women assemble
Oh,
around Captain
yeah.
Marvel.
I do not remember, to be honest, sitting down from the time that all the portals opened and that battle charge from hell of all the Avengers. From that moment till I left the theater, it's all whirlwind in my
Yes. And
emotions everywhere, crying, laughing, screaming. It's like the Bengals for us won the
Yes.
Super Bowl. It was amazing.
And to go along with Cole said before he takes his next pick, what's cool about our community and the cinematic universe and the comic universe is that no one cared if you were standing up right in front of them and cheering, because they were standing behind you, not even worried about kicking a chair, cheering on the same thing. We all loved what was going on in the cinematic universe.
Yes.
So Cole, your pick, buddy.
Hats off to Marvel, because I think even for non-comic book fans, I mean, there was
Cinematic
non-comic book fans that have been following these
Yeah.
movies for years that were up cheering and
They're like, who's that
screaming.
purple guy with the balls on his chin?
Yeah, with the balls. So, guys, I'm trying to get out of the event, because almost every, if you're listening to this podcast, you're in the comics, you probably feel the same way we do. So I'm going to go a little bit, I'm going to say outside maybe a little bit of the Avengers, but I'm going to stick with the Marvel. And to me, that was the Guardians of the Galaxy, the moment where Star-Lord was able to grab onto the Power Stone at the very end of that movie. The very first Guardians of the Galaxy, when he's doing a dance off.
Yeah.
He's doing a dance off out there. I mean, the movie was great, but then when he gets his hand on that Power Stone and realizes that he's a human that can hold it. To me, that was that moment of that movie that was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That made me like take a character that probably people didn't know anything about, Star-Lord. I've seen him before, but I never really got into the character, and all of a sudden it made Star-Lord like, you got to tip your hat off to
Yes.
Chris Pratt, and you also got to give the movie writers, but they wrote up to that moment of him grabbing the Power Stone, and I just thought that was an epic moment in the Guardians of the
Yeah,
Galaxy.
that
for
it
me.
is. That,
And like everyone loves Chris Pratt. He's obviously, casting for the Marvel Cinematic Universe is unreal. They obviously got a whole bunch of women together and like, who do you want to be these characters? They picked Chris Hemsworth. They picked Chris Pratt. They picked Chris Evans. They picked Paul Rudd, a guy that doesn't age. Good job, Cole. That is a
that's
good
a
pick.
great pick. I'm glad Guardians of the Galaxy got
Yeah,
on
because
this
they
list.
are kind of overlooked, I think.
But they shouldn't be, because these
They
movies are
actually
amazing.
helped build the franchise, because without them, I don't
They-
think we
they're
get
the
to where we
connector.
were at.
They're
Yes.
the nucleus.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stay with you and get away from the MCU just for a second, but I'll return. I'm gonna talk about a scene in the movies. This actually has come up. We have done a top 5 draft of Star Wars moments, and I'm gonna steal one of those moments. You can go back and listen. We'll let you know what the episode is in the show notes. But I'm going in the Revenge of the Sith. When my top 2 favorite characters in the Star Wars universe shows up to fight Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious, conniving, he's very powerful, but when he is in the empty Senate chambers, comes walking down that hallway, and the way they do it cinematically, we see the silhouette,
That cane.
and you're like,
That
oh,
2-foot cane.
yes, Yoda is about to take on Darth Sidious, and they do Yoda fighting very well. It's cool.
I agree.
We always are like, we've heard that you might be as good of a saberman as Yoda, Master Yoda. We know he's amazing with the lightsaber. We get to see it in action. You see it a little bit in the Clone Wars, but you really get to see it in Revenge of the Sith. And he would have taken Darth Sidious if he wouldn't have done the whole distraction and runaway thing that all villains do. So I'm taking Yoda taking on Darth Sidious, because I love Yoda. I hope he somehow shows up again in the future. We all love Baby Yoda. We'll get them in the fall. Yoda, anybody have a funny, snarky remark on my Yoda pick?
I respect Yoda too much.
Thank you. There's a lot of respect for
I think
Yoda.
anytime you get everybody wants. I think the original Star Wars, like the very old ones, they didn't have the ability to make Yoda be how they wanted to make him be.
Yeah.
Some dude's like
And then when
cramped up in a
when
claw,
you
or
get to see Yoda
a
fight-
log, claustrophobic to do Yoda.
That first time you see this,
Jim
like
Henson.
you said, anybody looking at this little green thing walking at you is like, "Man, look at that little thing. Shoot it!" And then you're dead.
Much to learn, have you? And my 4th pick, because I am snaking back to, I'm going right back in MCU, and I'm taking a moment, and this will probably be it for me with the MCU, but I'm only going to get 2 more picks, or 1 more pick. I am taking the end of Infinity War, this is still a fan moment of like an aha, exciting moment because I love Thanos as a villain.
Yeah.
I love Thanos as a villain. He gets a lot of love here. We love villains. He's probably going to go down as one of the most iconic villains in cinematic history. I truly believe that, rivaling Darth Vader. But I'm taking the end of Infinity War when Thor misses just slightly to the right, and he should have gone through the heart.
Oh.
And I'm going with the snap, the first snap. And I'm taking it as a moment in cinematic history where the villain, that is Thanos' movie. Infinity War is a Thanos movie. He wins, the villain wins, and you always kind of subtly want to see the villain win. You get to see that in Infinity War. And you're rooting for it not to happen, and no matter how many times you watch that movie, you're like, no, if only this would have gone this way. If only this would have gone this way, it wouldn't have happened. But it does. It was inevitable. I don't think anyone's going to argue with this. Thanos and the snap. I'm going to steal it from Infinity War as one of my best moments in cinematic history.
Good pick with your third pick, Jared, because when he says, but you missed, I was like, oh, dang it, he did miss. He should have gone for the head.
The way they do the snap, and I know they could have done it a lot of ways. They're like, let's make it happen gradually.
Slowly starts disappearing.
And I heard that Spider-Man, that was just kind of like off the cuff the way he did that.
Yeah.
Like we're like, oh no, his Spidey sense is picking up on it. Like he knows it's gonna happen, and it's a little moment with him and Tony Stark. The snap, amazing. It wins, and we all wait. And after that movie, you're like, there's another feeling you don't have in a lot of movies, and I love that movie. So,
Nice.
Next.
All right, Cole, you get your third pick here, man. What are you feeling?
I'm putting together a well-rounded team. It's
so
gonna be hard to
guys,
beat
Jared's
mine.
picking like, if you're like a 65-year-old not middle-aged older man, and you're just like vanilla.
I wanted to give our listeners out there a depth of our range when it comes to movies.
Oh.
Because I'm being the oldest. I got some really good movies I watched like back in the 90s, and
That's fair.
You know, I'm gonna go with one that probably most people have seen. If not, you need to go see it. Is The Usual Suspects with Kevin Spacey. The reason I bring that movie, you can now. Back then, he was like he was good in The Usual Suspects.
Hey, he doesn't
That's
like
coming.
guys our age, so we are A-okay.
Hey, that's today. I'm talking about The Usual Suspects, and our fans will appreciate that because in 1995 that movie dropped. That has been one of my favorite movies of all time, and just the moment in that movie that I'm talking about is at the very end, and it kind of brought what we know today as the modern twist. So probably one of the greatest twists in a movie, and you know, I'm going. My favorite moments in movies, other than the Marvel ones, are when you get that twist that you did not see coming.
That's
and
true.
You're sitting there in the theater and you're like, what the heck? So this whole movie is about, you know, some bad guy. He's Kevin Spacey's character is sitting in there and he's telling this elaborate tale of what happened, and he's confessing to the police. And at the very end of the movie, there's a line that he said. It says, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist." And then you see the detective looking up, and he's kind of looking into the ceiling, like. And by the time he figures it out, Kevin Spacey, who had been walking with like a disfigured limp the whole time down the road, all of a sudden starts walking straight, starts walking perfectly, and you realize that entire time, Kevin Spacey was the mastermind, criminal mastermind, sitting in the police department, completely throwing them off the trail through this whole movie. And he made up the entire story based off a coffee cup on the detective's desk that said Kobayashi on it, and the bad guy's name was Kobayashi. And when the detective looks at the bottom of his cup, he sees Kobayashi was the brand that made his coffee cup, and he made this entire elaborate story up based on just seeing the name on the bottom of his coffee cup.
I mean, that is pretty genius.
So listeners that are my age and watch that movie will understand.
Yeah, that's true. And we do know one thing about Kevin Spacey is that he is conniving and can work his way around fooling other men.
Yeah.
But good pick, Cole. I do like that. With my third pick, great movie. I did like Kevin Spacey. K-Pax was one of my favorite movies growing up. So with that pick, I am going to go to DC because I feel like we're not giving DC enough love. And you guys are going to love these back-to-back picks.
No.
Yep.
I know where
I
you're
am going with the first Batman, and what I'm going with is a selection So I'm going with the selection of Jack Nicholson being the Joker because I think that they picked him perfectly. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but thanks to IMDb, the Joker, Jack Nicholson originally turned down the role of the Joker, and they offered it to no other than Robin Williams. Once they offered, think about that, guys, for a second. The Joker could have been Robin Williams. Once they offered it to Robin Williams, Jack Nicholson called and said, I would like to do the Joker. He's still, if you look at it, the contract he signed, he is, I think, the second highest paid actor for a single movie that is comic related. I think he made like $60 million based off that movie and revenue coming from it. And I'm not dumb. I know you guys absolutely love that Batman movie with Michael Keaton.
Oh, he's
as Batman and the Joker.
You know, other than Cesar Romero, who did the 66 Batman Joker, who, you know, I don't think he gets enough love as being the Joker. He was the first one to really bring us a Joker. Jack Nicholson brought it to the silver screen and put it in front of us, and we all, I mean, that was me as a kid. That was my Joker that I knew on the big screen, and I absolutely loved him as the Joker. I thought it was a perfect pick.
Yep.
Especially when he gets his face all surgically turned into like a permanent
Falls
smile.
into the acid. Can you guys imagine? And Tim Burton did that movie, which is cool. Can you guys imagine a Robin Williams Joker? Like, if you think about that,
I do.
What could have been?
I mean, Robin Williams.
The laugh probably
Robin
could've been
Williams had
pretty
the
good.
depth, the laugh, and the ability to do it. I have no doubt.
Yep. So that's my third pick, and with my fourth pick, I'm sticking in the genre of Joker. I wish I could take them all here, but I don't want to have 3 Jokers on my team. But Heath Ledger as the Joker, I know I love Joaquin Phoenix, and he might come up later in the ending scenes of his movies. But the last role of Heath Ledger, I know he did one more movie, but this is what he's known for. The Joker that he played and portrayed is one of my favorite villains.
Which moment? We're doing
Which
moments
moment?
here.
Oh,
cinematic
come on.
moments. No, I said specific cinematic moments. Cole, did I say?
All right, well then, all right, let me go back.
Heath Ledger's the Joker. No, cinematic moments.
Well, all right, here's my Jack Nicholson moment when they go through the art museum and he's shooting up people with all the gases coming out of the scene and they're painting on the pictures with the fun music. That scene's awesome. Heath Ledger as the Joker. Obviously, you're going to take when Batman has him hanging off the edge of the building. And I forget what line he has. Cole, actually, I guarantee you knows the line, whatever Joker says at the end of that movie.
Which one?
When Batman has him hanging off the top of the building. This is horrible podcasting here because I don't remember it. I was going with Heath Ledger as the Joker. But that scene where he's hanging off the edge of the building, we all know it. He has an iconic scene and an iconic laugh. But I'm going to take that scene of Heath Ledger following Batman. No, they pick him up in a helicopter. Well, dang it, Jared, you just ruined my pick. I'm still...
Well, here's the thing, Caleb. You say Heath Ledger's the Joker, and we're talking about moments in cinematic history, and I wasn't going to let you get away with sliding one of your little conniving moments where you steal these drafts.
It's not the end. Here's my moment.
All Joker actors of all time.
Here's the moment. The beginning scene when they have those clown masks and it's revealed that he's a police officer. They also have that clown mask, robbing a bank. That scene's awesome. And I also get the scene where he is the nurse in the hospital and he has Two-Face and changes Two-Face's theory on life and then blows the hospital up.
I think
so. I'm taking that.
Okay.
I think
those two scenes.
Caleb,
thank you, Caleb, for fighting through that for
I'm not going to lie.
on air.
We'll stay on. I just got to make a comment because I was toying around in my head because Heath Ledger as the Joker is an incredible... And I was thinking in my head, like, what is the moment? What is the moment in that movie? So it is a little tough.
There's too many.
But I have to say, Caleb, I think the default would be the moment that you really get to see him as the Joker when the entire crime lord family is there and he comes in and he walks into the biggest crime family in Gotham City, and that's the first time you see him as like the full-fledged Joker in his uniform. And he does, and he pretty much in that one moment wins you over as he's going to be an awesome Joker.
Thank you.
And he brings the crime syndicate of Gotham City to its knees within a matter of a few minutes on screen.
Cole, in that scene, does that not remind you of the Batman when Jack Nicholson does that with all the crime lords and blows that one guy up with the handshake?
I think there's a lot.
I was gonna do the smile on the face story with Rachel
Let me
at
do
the
a
big
magic
party.
trick.
Oh yeah, that intro was
So
amazing.
my third and fourth picks are the Jokers. I listed scenes. Sorry, we gotta make this quick.
got these
Jack
scars.
Nicholson doing the paintings, and then I got Heath Ledger's changing Harvey Dent's theory on life, and also the beginning scene when the bank scene when we actually see the scars, and you're like, okay, that's the Joker. That's pretty cool.
Thank you for giving me specific moments.
Yes, no problem.
So my next pick is gonna go with another genre. This is a horror movie genre.
Mm-hmm.
This single moment in cinema
Oh, no, don't
history,
say-
this single moment in cinema horror history built a multi-billion-dollar franchise, because I don't think without this moment that the Saw franchise would continue.
Yeah, it's true. He's right.
Because listen, you're watching this first Saw, and I'm talking about the first Saw. And everybody knows what I'm going to say here,
Yes.
because everybody had the same reaction that I did, and in the theaters, because when he gets up at the
a fourth
end,
round pick.
when he gets up at the end, and the music is playing, and all of a sudden you're still wondering, like, what the is happening? And you realize what just happened as that door slams, and the
game
next
over.
thing the next thing you know, like, I don't think there would be a Saw franchise without that moment. You guys tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that moment built them about a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Going off of cinematic scenes, that could have been an early first round, second round pick.
Think about everybody's reaction when that happened. I remember
Yes.
being in the theater. I'm like, what?
So,
What
so
is
those
that?
movies came out around my birthday, and we would all go. And that first one, I'm mad that you took that because I wasn't even thinking about that one.
that had to be taken.
Yeah,
great scene. He stands up. He's at the
Yeah,
door, and you're
that
right.
Saw
That
music
music's
is
amazing,
playing, and it's like-
and he's like, game over.
And I
Slams
don't
the
think
door.
without that scene that we have any more
Yep.
Saw movies after.
And they did decline. We will say that. It's hard to repeat gold, but great pick, Cole. Gosh dang it. You got that at 4. Jared, what's your fourth? You get 4 and 5 here. To round
All right. For 4, I had to get out of the box and go with a different cult following movie that we all know and love, and it is Godzilla. And I wanted to get a Godzilla moment. I'm like, man, there are so many iconic Godzilla moments throughout cinematic history. So I wanted to do it the reboot in 2014 because back in the day, the original Godzilla, the Godzilla King of the Monsters, anytime Godzilla's walking out of the ocean with that iconic score, which was perfectly done by me right there, represented. It's amazing. He's approaching the city. This giant kaiju, amazing epic monster is coming and bringing the wrath to either another kaiju or the city itself. But I'm going to go in the Godzilla film in 2014. He's fighting those mutos, those alien creatures. And Godzilla always gets that moment in the battle where it seems like all is lost. And it's not like with the Power Rangers where we joke about the Megazord where he goes to the super sword swipe finisher. Mm-hmm. It's like everything's done. The timing is everything with the Godzilla breath of fire, and it doesn't happen. You're like, we know he's got this power. When's it going to come? He's getting beat down. He's getting double teamed at the end of that movie. And finally, you see, with the music rising, the score getting amazing, the scales on the back of that giant tail and back are glowing. You're like, oh no, you're elbowing your buddy in the theater. Here it comes. And he roasts the mutos with the fire breath. And it's a good Godzilla moment. There's a lot of Godzilla moments. I took one because I know you guys probably weren't going to take any. So I took the Godzilla moment where he does.
We love Godzilla too.
And we're really excited about
Hangover.
Godzilla vs. King Kong, or King Kong vs.
Yes.
Godzilla. I don't know who got the lead in that title in the upcoming movie. We'll have to do a fact check on that. So I'm taking Godzilla with my 4th pick to really round out my base here.
Yeah. That's a good pick. And I just quoted The Hangover because that's a funny scene when I think John Chang or whatever jumps out of the car. And what's his name? Zach Galifianakis is like, we love Godzilla too. We love Godzilla too. Just a funny moment. Sorry. So good pick, Godzilla. We knew Godzilla would make it. So good pick.
The last one I'll pick, and this was, I mean, we've said it before, but you probably, if you're listening to this, maybe you haven't gone back and listened to our podcast, but we're huge Star Wars fans as well. I wanted to get 2 Star Wars out of my 5. And the first 3 episodes get a lot of hate. What for whatever reason, I don't know. Just because, you know, the vehicles look too brand new. Ooh, or you don't like Jar Jar Binks. Get over it.
I love Jar Jar. Me love Jar
Here's the
Jar
thing.
Binks.
In Revenge of the Sith, I think, say what you want about the actor that played Anakin, I think that the battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi at the end of Revenge of the Sith, it takes about 30 minutes cinematically just to do. They're cutting back and forth.
Is that the higher ground one?
Yeah, this is where it ends.
Okay.
It ends with the arrogance of Anakin on the higher ground, and I love just Obi-Wan Kenobi, who just loves his Padawan. Say what you want about the acting. He's like, he honestly believed, and he went to the Jedi Council to vouch for Anakin and say, this guy's the chosen one. Guys, listen to me. I got him. He's the chosen one. He's the chosen one. And there he is in that fiery lava spew of a planet saying, he doesn't want to fight him, but he has to, and he's yelling and he's anguishing and saying, "You were the chosen one! You were the chosen one!" And Anakin has the higher ground.
The chosen one.
Anger led him to the dark side.
Yep.
But Obi-Wan Kenobi had the higher ground, and he didn't want to do it. But Anakin gets cocky, thinks he can out jump him with a force jump, gets his legs cut off, arms gone. And he's that little shell of himself that gets turned into Darth Vader.
pick.
I like that. I like that
Star
moment.
Wars has a lot.
I like that moment at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and I'm going to take that moment because that was a big moment. It obviously created one of the other best villains of all time, and it's iconic to me because I really love the actor that played Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought did a good job.
I do agree with that.
But that's my pick with number 5. I think that's some value there.
Yeah, not as good as Cole's Saul pick. I think
No,
that
Saul
was the best value
was a
pick.
great pick.
I got a solid pick at 4, guys, and I think I'm going to get a solid pick at 5 because, you know, it's really tough. This is tough because if you really are fans of something,
Cole's
I did
drafting
something.
like the
I did
Patriots over
something
here.
crazy to our fans, and they thought if you're listening to this, our 13 people were like, "Hey, he's going to go all Marvel, DC." So I went off, and then I'm going to come back home. I'm going to come back home with a Marvel pick that everybody missed through all
Bring it
this
on
round of the
home
draft.
to
We
me.
now miss.
Oh, it was
Bring
missed
it
because
on
Thor
home
does
to
not get enough
me.
love. So there was a
Okay.
Good point.
there's
Here
a
it
couple.
is. That Thor
There's a
doesn't. I know
couple
what it
moments in Thor, and I've been sitting here the entire
one?
time
I know what he's going to do.
debating in my head which moment is it? Like, is it the moment he wakes up and when Odin takes the hammer in the first one and he's down on the planet on Earth, and when he finally is worthy
This is
and
a
he
good
goes
pick
and
here.
faces the big guy.
We don't
and
know
I'm
what
like,
he's picking
Is that
yet.
the moment?
No, I know where you're
No,
going.
I know what
Look at this.
moment
You're
it
on
is.
with the last Thor.
It's the last Ragnarok
Yeah.
where he's sitting there with Anthony Hopkins, you know, and he's
and Hela, right? Above
yeah,
him.
yeah.
I
And
knew it. Good
Anthony's like the moment where Anthony Hopkins as Odin turns to him and says, "You." Or he's what was the line? Now
know,
someone
forget.
I didn't Google it for him because I just
It's
I
always
get
been
chills.
in you.
He's like
didn't have the hammer.
He's like, you've always been stronger than me.
Yeah.
It was like he didn't just give him the hammer.
You don't
for
need the
power.
hammer.
He gave him the hammer to help contain the power because the power has been in him the whole time. And then you get this scene where he's completely beaten. He's broken. He's lost an eyeball.
Still
Like,
looks good.
Still looks good without an eyeball, but he's just been he's been broken, and his people are getting ready to be killed, and he's just looking like, you know, he goes off to talk to he's kind of dead for a moment, and next thing you know, you get this moment in Thor Ragnarok that movie had laughs, but you get this moment where Thor finds the power within him to become the most. I mean, this is the most powerful I've seen him up until the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. But yeah, when he comes down with the lightning bolts and you got the
And you hear that.
music playing, and he's got that Raiden electricity going through his body and his eyes.
Infinity War?
No, I'm Ragnarok. Remember?
This
This happens.
yeah.
The first time this happens in
yeah.
Ragnarok, I am cheering in theater like that. I mean, Thor. That is Thor, man. And then that moment right there makes it to where
This is a good pick.
that makes it to where the rest of the Avengers know when Thor's here. I mean, Thor and the Incredible Hulk are the two most powerful Avengers, and they joke about it through the entire saga of Marvel because Hulk is more powerful, Thor's more powerful, and this is that moment where you get to see that power.
That's true.
Of Thor, and you're like, wow, that is amazing. And then you get to see it even more in the Infinity War when he comes comes out. It's just awesome.
So for the post to our fans, the specific moment is the one in Ragnarok when he arrives.
It's the one when he realized he doesn't need the
when
hammer.
he
to
wakes
beat Thor.
up and like thunders in his eyes.
Yeah.
Love it. It's a
Great
good
scene
pick.
or great pick. Cole.
He's laying there like dead, and then realizes when he has a talk with his dad and like didn't he have a talk with him in the afterlife? It's like an afterlife one.
Yeah, it's
and,
Odin in the fields.
And Odin looks at him and pretty much just says, "You never needed
It's
the
you.
You never needed.
It's
the
always
hammer."
been you. Wait, that's Iron Man.
So, all right, great pick. I'm going to round it out here. And what's nice about rounding it out at the end is also being able to do the first honorable mentions. That being said, guys, I think that we severely did not give Sylvester Stallone enough credit. And I think you guys might know where I'm going with this. This is the Rocky franchise. And the scene that I'm going with is
good
the
value
montage.
Which
Rocky's montage in Rocky IV, training in the mountains
after Apollo's died.
after Apollo's died, is one of like. With
Is that
the
where he
music,
reminisces?
Yes, with the music is just running up a snowy mountain, lifting boards, doing sit-ups on
Hearts on fire, strong.
Listen, you can put any Rocky montage on there, and I feel like it's a great pick. We
That's
all
a solid pick.
Rocky
Yes.
4 and the 5.
I don't think that gained the reaction that the few scenes later after that gained when
true.
He's cut.
He's cut. I agree.
Russian's
when he was
cut.
cut
agree.
was the
He's
time.
a man. He's not a
But
machine.
that was one of the first
man.
thing about it moments
Good pick.
where a
Good
movie
pick,
was
Caleb.
like, here's a montage training.
No.
And that happens a lot in movies nowadays.
Hearts on Fire is an amazing soundtrack, and
Yes.
I gotta give you that. I like the
Rocky IV is
caveat of
easily on
The
that
best
franchise.
Rocky. Yes.
easily.
I say I don't know. I think it was my favorite one, but I would say I
The
loved
running
all
of
of
the
them.
steps
I
is
loved
a
all of
scene,
them
too.
except 5 and 3
The
was a
street
little
fight.
iffy.
5 was weird. And
4
now,
and 1. 4
now
and 1.
Creed that's come from
2.
Rocky, Creeds are really good.
Or Rocky
Creed
beat-
1 and
beat
2 are good.
Apollo Creed.
The 2 is good, but I love at the end of the 1 where all Rocky wanted to do was go to the distance. At the end of that, there ain't gonna be no rematch. I don't want one. And they're like just all over each other when everyone's rushing
Yeah.
the ring and the final bell's going. But no, Rocky 4, Rocky 1. That's a great
you.
franchise.
I do like that
Thank
pick
you
at
for
number
keeping.
5.
Yeah, I can't
And
even
we
knock
got
it. I want to
Sylvester
because
Stallone
it's
in
Caleb
there.
and he's a cheesy
Well,
picker.
we have a couple hundred years or 100 years of cinema
Yes.
to
Is
choose from.
that the end of it?
Yes, that's the end of it. But I want to do my first honorable mention. Man, when this episode's going
Keep
longer
the honorable
than we
mentions
thought.
quick.
Yeah, honorable mentions quick. If you didn't cry during the scene, and I know Toy Story 4 came out and was still great, but Toy Story 3 at the end of it, when you're connected,
No, that's
you-
a great pick.
when you are connected to these toys that brought us
Dude,
Pixar,
that's not
and they're
fair.
linking arms when they're
Yes,
getting ready
that's
to die,
insane.
you're like, all right, they're gonna die. There goes my childhood.
The-
I did cry. I'm not gonna lie.
Caleb, that's a great. Yeah,
I
that's true.
cried when those toys.
You
were
get
getting ready
emotional
to
when
get
they're
compacted.
holding hands and just accepting their fate
Slink,
as a
like,
group.
Slinky,
Have you
Slink
seen it?
reaches out.
Oh.
Have you not seen Toy
I've not
Story
seen
3?
Toy Story 3.
Well, I just read. Spoiler
Oh.
alert, but it's been out
It's
15
okay.
years.
Yeah.
Cole, all the toys are going in a trash compactor, all getting ready to compact. They just smack
Did
him.
they die?
Woody reaches out
He's
to
not
Buzz.
going to tell you. Don't tell him what happens.
Holds Buzz's
He doesn't
arm.
know.
Holds
You
her
gotta,
arms.
you gotta watch
And it's
Toy
like-
Story 3.
And you're like, they're all looking at each other like they're getting ready to die, and it's just that's
No,
my
I'm-
honorable
I'm-
mention.
Toy Story 1 and 2 was where I left off. I think I might have been hitting my.
Cole, you
years
have
ago
to
drink
watch
at the bar
3.
forever.
You have to watch 3. That's my
Do you have
honorable
an
mention.
honorable
Do you guys
mention,
have
Cole,
any?
real quick before I go? Do you got an
You go
honorable
yours.
mention? My honorable mention, I'd probably, like Caleb, I wanted to go into the Disney franchise, and I would probably go with Wreck-It Ralph. And the thing about that, and it really hits home at us because we love the arcade, and you get a lot of vintage arcade in Wreck-It Ralph. There's a lot of nostalgia to Wreck-It Ralph for adults. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But I love at the very end of Wreck-It Ralph when he is sacrificing himself and he is saying the bad Anons or the bad guy's creed, which I'm bad, but that's good. Or I'm gonna butcher the creed, but he's literally sacrificing himself at the end of Wreck-It Ralph. I'm like, this movie was great. I love the nostalgia. I love the way that in the very first one. I mean, the second one, Ralph breaks the internet.
Yeah,
It's fun.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But the first Wreck-It Ralph, at the very end, Wreck-It Ralph's character coming full circle, giving up himself. Hey, it's a Disney movie, but I love it. I love Wreck-It Ralph. And if you
Pixar
haven't
great
seen it,
movie, yes.
and you love arcades and the nostalgia of arcades, which Cole, I real highly recommend you see Wreck-It Ralph.
Cole, you
I
haven't
love
seen
Wreck-It. I love
Okay.
Wreck-It. I've
Okay,
seen
okay,
I've
okay,
seen
good.
both
Okay.
Wreck-It
And you
Ralph.
have Disney Plus, so you need to
Yeah.
watch Toy Story 3.
Well, guys, I'm going to give an honorable mention that I think probably should have been up at our number 1 or 2.
Scarface or Godfather?
I think I'm pulling a Patriots here, and in the late 8th round, taking a number 1 pick.
All right, let's hear it.
Transformers cartoon movie released in the theaters in the 80s when every kid in the United States drugged their parents to the theaters. We were obsessed, obscenely obsessed with all things Transformers. Mm-hmm. We go to the movies, we're pumped. We're going to see our Transformers. Optimus Prime was our idol, our hero, the Transformers fans. And in a matter of minutes into the movie, I'm in tears crying. The entire theater's in tears crying as I'm watching Optimus Prime turn into a gray color and die right in front of my eyes. And it traumatized me as a child. The rest of the children in there, people talk about that scene since that day it happened. Even, I mean,
they did
just living in that moment.
It
was one of the worst moments in my life because it devastated me as a child. But then Ultra Magnus picked out.
We love Ultra Magnus.
Ultra Magnus.
Obviously.
Favorite. And I was like, well, it's okay then.
Yes.
Ultra Magnus is now the Prime.
And when that is us.
But I will tell you, in Children of the 80s, it drastically altered our life.
In what a way, those writers, congrats to you. Here's your favorite character. It's almost like if Robert Downey Jr. died in the beginning of Avengers. That's what they did with Optimus Prime here. Because from the cartoon, from the comics, they were like, here's your guy, dead. And the movie was still great. So good pick, Cole. Or good.
That was just a
good honorable mention. Yeah, we're not giving you
just
that
for
as
our
a pick.
fans out there that are retro.
Yes.
80s. 80s.
So we are an hour into
right.
this episode already, which is awesome. But that is going to end this segment and lead to our top 5 moments of wrestling. I know that's hard to narrow down, but we tried to narrow it down as best we could. So enjoy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.
All right, guys. So we were going to have fun with this top 5. WrestleMania was last week. There was 0 people in the stands. So I feel like we need to give WWE some love here.
Gib, can I just say that nothing
Yes.
makes me happier, which is the theme of this podcast, is to make you happy. Nothing makes me happier than large, muscular men burling around in the ring. Half naked and just beating the tar out of each other and making us entertained. Do you smell what the Rock is cooking? Okay,
So
sorry.
guys, so we are awesome here at House of M, and what we did with this one is we split up the top 5 moments. So I have number 5, which might be number 1 on their list, but we're gonna have fun with this because this is what we do here at House of M. So at the number 5 moment, and this is from what I wanted to do with these top 5 moments, is scenes that is do scenes that I remember watching and being like, heck yes, that's my moment. So obviously we're going to have some different moments. But coming in at number 5 was probably one of my favorite moments growing up as a kid. Not my favorite, but one of my favorites. And that is the formation of D-Generation X. So D-Generation X was in WWE.
Solid pick.
Had
Solid
Triple
pick.
H, X-Pac,
Solid pick, kid.
Badass Billy Gunn, the Road.
Ladies
Road
and
Show.
gentlemen, boys and girls,
Yep.
children of all
Yes, sir. Had Shawn Michaels
ages.
for a little bit. I wrote their lyrics down on a piece of paper when I was younger and got grounded from it because of the whole suck it thing.
The
X-Pac
Road Dog, Jesse James,
there
the
it is.
badass Billy Gunn,
Woo! Some good looking dudes there.
the
X-Pac,
new
China
age
for a little bit.
Outlaws.
But Triple H was always ahead of the game, which is why he is doing so well in WWE now, being an owner and married to Stephanie McMahon. But I do believe the coming of D-Generation X and the formation of a pack, I do believe, and they might appear later. I think they were before the Wolf Pack because WWE was for WCW. The formation of D-Generation X was one of the bigger formations in wrestling that happened first. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they had like 8 wrestlers that were all part of D-Generation X. It was game changing. The colors were cool.
It's 100% Vince McMahon at his A game right there.
Yes, it was raw. It was amazing. That's what I'm going to put in at number 5. The formation
It's a
of
solid
D-Generation
5 hole.
X.
That's a solid 5 hole.
Yes, and 5 is a hole that is underutilized, but that's coming in at the 5 hole. I do believe Jared gets the 4 hole and the 2 hole. So Jared,
Kib,
go
I'm going to
hole
take you
there.
to your favorite month, October 21st, 1996. Look, WCW and WWF always had the rivalry, and there was a character of our youth, our childhood, of the Attitude Generation that was the epitome. Some of you might have this higher on the list, but I think if we really think about it, there will be moments in wrestling that can even somehow surpass this moment. In 1996, in addition of Nitro, Sting returned for the first time
Took it. But that's
since the
solid.
night
That
after
is solid
Fall
pick.
Brawl.
Solid pick.
Yes.
In the match where the imposter Sting was wrestling Mr. JL, Sting emerged wearing the iconic trench coat and the white face paint and the black marks around his eyes. This might have been his first appearance. This was not his last. His feud with NWO, Sting was the symbol of WCW taking on NWO, one of the iconic gangs of wrestling. And moments of Sting is amazing. He showed up. You were watching Monday Nitro, like, when's Sting going to appear? When is he going to be in the Raptors? When's he going to show up? This stoic, quiet figure that just clears the ring of 30 guys with a baseball bat.
Yep.
Death drops, his finisher,
Scorpion
or dare you
stings.
get your knees locked up in the Scorpion Deathlock.
Or a splash.
So this was just the initial launch of Sting, but there's a lot of moments with him, and I know he resonates with all of us.
This
at
by
the
far,
wrestling-
one, saved his career.
Yes.
2, I mean, that in the 90s, that was in my prime years of growing up. I mean, I was all things Love, Die, Sting. I mean, I had to tune in every Monday Nitro to see what was going to happen with Sting. And I think the rest of the country was tuning in
Yes.
to see what was going to go on with Sting and WCW.
And when he picked the Wolfpack NWO, I was like, heck yeah, black and red. He was no longer black and white, black and red.
And I have no idea what the announcers, which was it, Jerry the King Lawler and Jerry,
I don't think so. I think they were still with WWE.
was it still WWE? Okay.
Jared, it was Ross, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Ross was
Something Ross.
WCW.
Because Sting never talked, but the way that he was narrated from the host
Yep.
is what just made him so iconic. And
Yeah, that actually, that's one of the best moments. One, it was one of the best moments for WCW because they skyrocketed after the whole Sting and NWO feud. I mean, it brought them to. I mean, I couldn't wait till Monday night to tune in to see what was going to happen next.
And I haven't asked, going on with this segment, thinking about it more, I haven't asked Cole for permission of this yet. But Cole, is it okay if I give you the number 1 pick and pick the 3rd spot? Because I feel like your wrestling knowledge is a little bit brighter than mine, a little bit more broad than mine. If not, that's fine. I still have a number 1
Yeah,
pick.
the number 1, I don't know if it's the same as mine, but I think we all have the number 1 pick.
Okay, is it okay?
so that was
then I
pick
gotta-
number. So just to clarify, that was
Yes.
pick number 4 was Sting's launch into the wrestling career, throwing death drops to everybody in the ring. I remember the announcers at one point, he gave like 5 at one time as he cleared out the ring with his baseball bat, and he's putting that deadly neck-breaking death drop in.
And the Stinger
And
splash.
here's a death drop for you. And
He had the same finisher as Bret Hart, but it was the reverse. He did it left, Bret Hart did it
Yep.
right, or vice versa.
Yep.
I can't remember.
So are you okay with that, Cole? If I take 3 and you want 1, or do you
I'll
want
take
3?
1 because I know for a fact there's only one moment. In
all right,
Okay,
there is an
wrestling
official
history.
trade of picks here.
Trade of picks,
Caleb
yes.
at number 3.
Okay, so it does suck to say, but Cole, I do know, has more broad of a knowledge to wrestling than I do. So I think it's fair, since he has 1 pick in this, that I take number 3. And we are having fun with this. And like I said, this is stuff that we remember growing up. That's why there's so many iconic scenes that I don't remember as much growing up because it happened before my time. But I would like to pick, and this happened recently, so one of the most iconic wrestlers of all time is The Undertaker. Everyone loves The Undertaker since day one. You love his story. So the Hulk, the crowd would get the Hulk going when you thought the Hulk was dead. When The Undertaker was dead, we don't know what got his drives going, but for some reason, he just sat up and gave you a tombstone from hell. I don't know what it was, but I think it was 3 years ago at WrestleMania, The Undertaker had a 21-0 streak come to an end. A sad story that happens in the wrestling world. Some people think that this is overrated. That's fine. I don't, because WrestleMania is the biggest wrestling event.
It's the Super Bowl of wrestling.
It's the Super Bowl of wrestling. The Undertaker was perfect, guys. This is like the Patriots losing to the Giants with their perfect record in the Super Bowl. The Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar. It was Brock Lesnar, correct? Yes.
Yeah, and it was absurdly obscene.
Yes.
He got brutalized, disrespected.
There's that meme of that one guy, like his eyes are like bulging out. He's like, what just happened?
That was one of the best actual WrestleManias,
Yes.
I think, in recent history, if you think about it. That was the Daniel Bryan. Was that the Daniel Bryan had
Yes.
2 matches?
Yes.
Where he injured himself and pretty much ended his career almost that night?
Mm-hmm. So I'm taking that at 3. Like I said, Cole, Jared, and I have so much respect for The Undertaker because, let's be honest, he's wrestled since we were born. This guy is a tank. He just wrestled in this past WrestleMania, and his record was 0, like no losses, and he lost. So that scene, when that happened, shockwaves went through the wrestling entertainment. So, Jared, I believe you have 2, which will lead into Cole's best event.
Yeah, that was... I mean, it left shockwaves because if you were Brock Lesnar, I mean, if you were an Undertaker fan, I felt like he got completely disrespected in that moment. Like, I was in utter shock looking at the TV like, did he just get like 5 F5?
Yes, he did.
F5 bombs put on him and didn't even get back up. I'm like, is he dead? Like,
And
is
you're
he
like-
really dead? Because Brock Lesnar looked like he killed him.
And you're like, oh, I bet Brock Lesnar's going to pin him. He'll kick out of it, and then he'll rise up. Then it happened.
All right, guys, I am taking, and I was going to take the whole feud between these 2 characters because they were the icons of the Attitude Era. I was going to take the feud between Stone Cold, Steve Austin, and The Rock. Stone Cold, Steve Austin passing the torch to The Rock. And they battled it out at WrestleMania. Stone Cold won the first time, but Rock put up a match. And WrestleMania 19 in 2003, this was the second matchup between Stone Cold and The Rock. And The Rock did not win the first time, but in this matchup in the Super Bowl of Wrestling, The Rock won. And The Rock won not with additional help. He took out the face of the franchise in the middle of the ring in an epic match. And this was like the passing of the torch match between Stone Cold and The Rock. But these 2, there's nothing else you can say if you've ever even remotely followed wrestling throughout the years. The Rock and Stone Cold and Steve Austin were the faces of the franchise.
Oh yeah,
their personas, their personas elevated to the their personas elevated to the point where they were they could do whatever they wanted because it was always gold. We've mentioned, and it's showed up in rapid fire debates or whatever, with Stone Cold could literally drive a forklift on the ring, or out and
shoot beer out
or
of
smash
a hose.
or shoot a keg, a giant truckload of beer out of a hose. And The Rock could do whatever he wanted. His fun with those 2 speak for themselves. These are icons. But when they win at it, whoever wins is the one who's getting over. And it was interesting to see the passing of the torch between Stone Cold and The Rock. The Rock deserved it, and I'm taking The Rock beating Stone Cold in WrestleMania 19 in 2003.
And when you get the people's elbow or you get the rock bottom's such an easy move, but so
That
iconic.
people's elbow is deadly.
Yeah. Like I said, I keep restating that this is moments that we were at our peak age watching wrestling. Like, yes, that's awesome.
I'm gonna be honest,
Jared,
that's the
pick
only
number 2.
age to really watch wrestling. I mean, the snowflakes today that watch it, the young kids, the guys in our generation that are trying to recapture that but can never find it. It's like, I don't think we'll ever see a moment like we're talking about again in the rest of history.
Agree. I'm excited for number 1. I'm glad I traded it to Cole because I know
that could have
his
been
knowledge.
number 1. So if Cole,
Yeah, it could have been.
Okay. Yeah.
Surprise us, Cole. Let's hear it.
Which one? What pick are we at, guys?
Number 1.
We're at number
pick
1 right
of
now.
Yes.
all time.
Guys,
In our life. From what we remember.
is, let me get the date because I want to give the listeners the date because it was one of the most iconic moments in WrestleMania history, and it was a body slam heard around the world.
Oh, we know what this is.
And I remember it when I was younger, and it was in 1987, and this was when WrestleMania was kind of newer. So a lot of you are like 1987. That's like ancient history, but no, that's when WWF. I was raised on WWF, the World Wrestling Federation, where you had, that was to me my youth of wrestling. It was me, a buddy of mine, Joey. I'm gonna give a shout out to Joe. Dog.
Joey.
But we would sit, and every time we got together, we hung out. We go hang out at each other's houses. My best friends of the youth. We would watch nothing but WWF all the time. So 1987 comes around. You got Hulk Hogan, who had just come off of. He's a rising star, but you guys might find this hard to believe nowadays, but at the time, he was not the all-star superstar of WWF. He was an up-and-coming wrestler making a name for himself. So what happened was, and I remember this, I talked about this with all my friends, this is one of the most memorable moments, I think, in any moment, and Hulk Hogan is and will ever be the one icon of wrestling that everybody in the world knows, whether you know wrestling, you don't know wrestling. He is wrestling. He is what it was all about. I don't think anybody disagrees with me.
No.
So in WrestleMania 3, guys, I'm going to say it 3. WrestleMania 3. This was the third time they did a WrestleMania. Vince McMahon's on the rise. We have none other than the Juggernaut. So you guys remember when there was Goldberg in WCW and he was undefeated? And then you had Brock Lesnar. He went forever undefeated. Well, they had a guy named Andre the Giant.
Oh, yeah.
Andre the Giant was never beaten. Like, this guy was a massive human being. So he was a superstar. I mean, kids loved him. I mean, like, who was going to beat
Bride, right?
Who is going to beat this guy?
Yeah.
Who will beat this guy? Then you get Hulk Hogan. They end up being the title bout match of WrestleMania 3. So the whole world is watching, like, is this going to happen? And you get this great, it was probably one of Hulk Hogan's, in my opinion, greatest matches in history. If somebody disagrees with me out there, I don't think they will. And any of our listeners.
My honorable mention.
This thing is one of Hulk Hogan's greatest performances ever, and it comes down to the end where you get Hulk Hogan after an epic. He's taken all the Andre the Giant's licks. Everything's thrown at him. And next thing you know, he gets out, takes the Andre the Giant, picks him up to do a body slam. I'm telling you,
500 plus pounds.
When Andre the Giant hits the thing, the crowd goes nuts. Kids at school go nuts, or around the world, country, adults that are fans are going nuts. Madison Square, everybody is going nuts because Hulk Hogan just picked this massive man up, slammed him on his back, and then no, guys. Brother, it is not over.
I tell you, it's not over, brother.
It. That is the setup for the best finishing move in WWF
Watch out, brother.
history, wrestling history. The wave of the hand to the crowd, bounces
Deadlier
off the ropes.
than.
The man's thigh muscle,
Oh my gosh,
goes up in the air, crushes the trachea of this giant on the mat, and he is immobile and unable to move, and goes out with a 3 count. The crowd is nuts. People are screaming. Kids are crying because the Andre the Giant just
no
lost.
one gets up from the
It
leg
is
drop.
nuts.
Yeah.
If you get hit by a Hulk Hogan leg drop, you'll be lucky to survive the next couple days of your life recovering in the hospital.
Probably need a
Of
ventilator.
finishing moves, I think it has a 98%
99
count out. 99% count out.
Cole,
So
that
I'm
is
gonna
amazing.
So that actually moment right there in WrestleMania built Hulkamania. And then for the rest of the 80s, we had Hulkamania. I mean, that put wrestling on the global map.
Yeah, and Hulkamania was the giant that many others
He was a
stood
juggernaut.
on his shoulders. One super quick shout out. I know we're
American
wrapping up here
Dream.
because this
Dusty
matchup, this is just an honorable mention. It kind of it exemplifies what we are here at the House of M, the underdogs that never quit. Undertaker versus Mankind, Hell in the Cell, King of the Ring in 1998.
Oh, yeah, Mankind.
Mankind never quit.
Nope.
And we all know wrestling is what it is.
The top
There were
machine.
moments
The cage
where
broke and he fell through.
there
all the
are
way to the
moments
ground.
where the Undertaker broke the 3rd, 4th, 5th wall and said, "Dude, you okay?" And Mankind's like, "Keep going, don't stop."
He died. I actually thought he died that
Dude,
time.
quote from the ring.
got choke
Good
slammed.
God Almighty, that killed him. As God is my witness, he is broken in half. He fell from the top of the cage. I don't have the count.
Well, you do have Shane McMahon jumping from the top of the cage.
He got hit in the head with the
hey.
chair 20 times. That's my quick
It's
honorable
been an
mention.
epic episode,
Honorable
guys.
mention.
But guess what?
Go on.
It's Saturday night, baby.
That's live Saturday time. You guys are awesome. We're closing out. Enjoy the show.